Yankelevitch has helped numerous organizations reduce their struggle with unwanted results caused by miscommunication. He facilitates workshops where he helps align teams in local and international settings. Sam combines over 30 years of global industry and supply chain experience with quality and continuous improvement methodologies. Sam is the author of several books. In his latest book, Walking the Invisible Gemba, he expands on the use of quality and lean thinking to bring hidden waste to the surface. You can learn more about him at samyankelevitch.com. Sam.
Hey, how are you? How are you today?
I am well. Thank you so much for talking to me about your work and your book. It was an exciting read.
Oh, thank you for this interview, Charlie.
You talked about the impact that miscommunication can have on a business and that it's mostly a hidden process. Can you expand on this?
Charlie, well, communication is many things. The work I do is about communication for action, getting things done in the workplace, supply chains, projects, operations. People communicate by making requests, providing instructions and drawings, and a lot via email. So when miscommunication happens, the risk that something's not going to get done increases. For example, if someone misunderstands a step in a work instruction or the request in an email, it's possible mistakes are going to be made. And these are visible. But we tend to pay less attention to how miscommunication contributed to the mistake because communication is invisible. The intended meaning of a request and how it gets interpreted by the person receiving the request is an invisible process. We don't see it happening, but the results can be tangible. So there's a cause and effect relationship between communication and results. Here's a good summary of these points. Communication is a process, it's invisible, and it precedes action.
In your book, Sam, you talked about the term erased gains. It vividly captures how progress is lost when misunderstandings and cultural issues arise. You also draw attention to the fact that continuous improvement is often limited to production, operations, and physical processes. Continuous improvement should span the entire organization from top to bottom and end to end. So what do erased gains look like when continuous improvement is limited to a select area of the company?
Sure, Charlie. Continuous improvement should be happening everywhere, not just the shop floor, which is often the case. So what I mean is that an organization can be making improvements in some areas, but these improvements can be reversed. They can be erased if all other areas are not aligned. Here's a couple of examples. A company improved their operational quality, but parts are lost or damaged in their shipping and delivery. Maybe because the two areas were disconnected, or when assembly lines that are perfectly balanced, but your inventory control is, out of control and can't be fed and can't feed the lines just in time. When we run a systemic root cause analysis in such cases, what we often find are cultural sources that drive these behaviors. And yet these behaviors seem to be continuing when those cultural sources are not dealt with.
You introduced the concept of EIQI in your book, Walking the Invisible Gemba. Every interaction is a quality interaction. I really like this. So how do people define a quality interaction though?
When I studied NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is an approach to communication and personal development, NLP connects our communication patterns to our behaviors based on the experiences we have. Basically, it states the meaning of your message is the result you get. I'd like to borrow this idea to help define EIQI as a quality interaction where the physical, tangible results match the request or the instruction, the intended meaning. Remember, it's about communication for action. A client I worked with needed to perform maintenance on a large extrusion machine, for example, and they made a request for maintenance to take the breakers down as a safety precaution. The next day, there was a large metal box on the floor. It was the breaker box that they had taken down off of the wall. Now this caused 3 days of downtime and non-delivery to the customer. At a different client, the CEO went out and yelled at the operators on the shop floor that they needed to increase their productivity. So they understood this as working faster, which ended up causing more mistakes and more scrap. In both of these cases, a key did not happen. In business, Charlie, we interact with each other and with other people all the time. So we could strive to get things done right the first time by adopting this idea of a key. Every interaction, a quality interaction.
I like the refutation of soft as a descriptor in your book. Why do you think this label is a problem, and what can we change?
Yeah, sure. The term soft could mean it's the opposite of hard. And by labeling it so, we might inadvertently be giving it less priority, less importance. This is a problem, I think, because as we become extremely interdependent in our projects, our supply chains, and our operations, and people are more dispersed. Communication and culture can have a very hard impact in such cases. So there's nothing soft about these issues, and we might be shooting ourselves in the foot if we don't take care of them with the same effort and focus that we have on technology or on our physical processes.
Finally, Sam, what tips can you give us so that we can apply these ideas in our daily work?
The first thing I recommend, Charlie, is to accept that communication is like quality. It's everyone's responsibility. Everyone in every area and in every function. And it's the responsibility of both the listeners and the persons conveying the message. Next, and to apply what Dr. Daniel Kahneman says in his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, we have become very interdependent. So to get things done right the first time, Dr. Kahneman's concept could be adopted to mean slow down so you can move fast. In a world where we're always multitasking, often coordinating tasks with people we don't even know, some will probably misunderstand us just because of their cultural viewpoints. We could deliberately slow down to make sure we truly communicated. And lastly, assume out loud. Make the invisible visible. Assumptions are hidden. That's a human thing, a habit. However, problems happen when we act on our assumptions, and acting is a choice. We can decide if we want to help get things done right the first time.
Sam, thank you for this interview. I have learned so much about walking the invisible Gemba and your book. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Have a nice day.
Bye.